Hey, it's Motell Granite the Great. Good morning, good evening, good day, all that good stuff. Let's talk about the upcoming fight between Iron Mike Tyson and Super Roy Jones Jr. And one of the questions I want to ask is it possible for Roy Jones to win? Now, let's go on the outskirts first. Let's look at the fact that Mike Tyson is promoting the whole process. This really is the this Legends boxing thing is set up by Mike Tyson. So how would it look if he lost? What does that mean for the Legends thing? Will it die out? Will Roy Jones take over and run the whole process? What if that ain't what Roy wanted to do? So the political part of it is it possible for Roy Jones to win? So if Tyson lost, would he want to be engaged in setting up other fights? Or would he be disappointed from losing? So the question is, can Roy Jones win? $50 for 50-year-old fighters. Roy is 3 years younger. He's 51. And Mike Tyson comes in at 54. And I'm not sure if he's close to 55 or not, but 54. So with that being said, I don't know if having that as an advantage or a disadvantage. I don't know. But let's say it's an advantage because he's only 51 compared to Tyson being 54. Now let's just go inside of the fighting real quick. Let's take politics aside. If the politics is out of it, which usually is not, can Roy Jones win? And he's not as big, we're going to say, physically as Tyson is. So you would say that if he's absorbed and his size is smaller, we would think that the contact or the punches, which may not, I don't know. Let's say what do we think? Do you think that Mike Tyson will punch Roy Jones in the face one time and Roy Jones lays down and flatlines? I don't know. But if you're talking about the way their careers ended, you can say, okay, Roy was in some damaging situations. And Mike Tyson being a bomber, plus, from a political standpoint, it just makes sense for Mike Tyson to win. But this Legends thing is kind of ran by Mike Tyson. He has the personality right now for it to go. So it's probably necessary for Mike Tyson to win. But let's look at like some of the opponents who, like Mike Tyson, to me, the losses were to some real guys that nobody really knew much about. And so I know he could say, well, his mind wasn't into boxing at that point because of things going on in his life. And so now maybe he's saying that his mind is into the boxing. But what if your body is not? And we can say, oh, man, he, beat on the bags and different things like that. Sparring is, as we know, is different. So let's look at, in terms of the competition, who's stepping up the most, and I think it's Mike Tyson. Because Roy Jones is way better than who Tyson fought. If I can recall, I think Roy Jones lost to, I know he got beat by Tarver, who I would still consider to be better than the gentleman that Mike Tyson lost to, except for Lennox Lewis. Sorry about that. So Lennox Lewis, but he was totally disinterested, it looked like, in boxing per se, if we're going to take that away from Lennox Lewis. So we all know that if Mike Tyson shows up and is able to land punches on a... Now, here's the question again, is Roy Jones is 51, and we asked this, does he have legs? You know, so does Roy Jones at 51 have legs? That's probably what I would be looking at if I got a chance to see the fight. I would be looking at the legs of Roy and see if his legs can move. And if his legs can move, then that means it's very possible that him really being a legend and being way better than the guys that Mike Tyson fought, with the exception of Lennox Lewis coming down the stretch. Way more movement, way more athletic ability, way more talent. So now the question really becomes what? It's a simple question. Everybody keeps asking it. Can Roy Jones eat punches from Mike Tyson? Well, if the age is like molasses, then maybe the answer could be no. But if there is any lightning in the bottle, he's not going to be able to catch him. He's not going to be able to catch him. And Roy Jones is a man also, and he is a champion. He fought in the heavyweight division before, and he's won the championship as a heavyweight fighter. So he's a lot tougher than what anybody might give him credit for. He's a tough guy. So it's not like he's a bum from a legend standpoint, and Mike Tyson understands this. So now you got two legends. And if you put two legends in there together, you say, okay, but it's not the days of old. It's not. It's 54 versus 51. That's different. And from the political standpoint, will they allow Roy Jones to win? Can he win? So I don't know, but I do believe that it's going to be a shock, and I do think that when I'm going to say that all bets are going to be off, and I'm going to say that Roy Jones is going to win. He's going to be able to outpoint him for a while, and kind of go from there, because there's nobody who can simulate possibly the real talent and the heart and stuff that Roy Jones. Roy Jones was also considered one of the best fighters ever. One of the best fighters ever. That's not a question mark. So that is, I don't even know if Lennox Lewis is not even considered possibly one of the best ever. We don't really talk about Lennox that much. You see how I forgot about him in the example. So, but Roy Jones is somebody to be talked about. He was a very dangerous man when he was fighting, and he's 51, and he's probably preserved himself. And again, when you have, I'm not saying he's afraid, but when you do have, like, man, this is a legendary situation, I gotta train. Like, if you run into a fire, you just know you gotta, your adrenaline is gonna be enough to get you through to go in there and save a kid in a fire, or for a woman who lifts up a car to save her baby. I think this is what's going to happen with Roy. He's not just going to lay down. And he is a man, and a real man, and he's a champion. Very talented, very blessed and skilled. And I think that that's going to be enough if the politics don't get him. So I think Roy Jones will win. And I don't think he'll stop Mike Tyson but my question becomes, is he going to be in shape enough to go 8 rounds? There's only 2 minutes, so Roy can probably escape for 2 minutes. And they're wearing headgear and stuff, so that's going to take something off of the punches. I just think Roy's going to be there, and I think Roy will be able to pile up enough points with the speed and things. Roy Jones wins a decision. Love y'all.